This presentation is focused on the EPA Gulf of America Division's funding opportunity that was recently released entitled Farmer to Farmer 2025. From here forward, I will refer to this funding opportunity as the NOFO. Presentation purpose. The purpose of this presentation is to assist potential applicants to develop the best application they can. This presentation will highlight some important information and provide a strategy for getting started. This presentation should not be used in place of reading or following instructions in the NOFO, as this is not meant to be an all-encompassing presentation and only outlines portions of the NOFO. Presentation overview. This presentation will touch on the items listed on this slide. EPA Gulf of America Division, what to know about the NOFO, eligible locations, getting started, project narrative and tips, developing your budget table, evaluation criteria, submitting your application, selection process, helpful resources, and questions. What is the EPA Gulf of America Division? GAD is one of EPA's Great Water Body programs and is focused on the protection and restoration of the health and productivity of the Gulf of America. GAD activities are centered around voluntary, partner-driven projects. All project activities must take place in the geographic category identified in the NOFO and within the Gulf of America watershed. The link to GAD's webpage is www.epa.gov/Gulf of America. On this page, you can find more information about GAD and a link to this NOFO. What to know about this NOFO? This funding opportunity is for GAD's Farmer to Farmer program. Project activities must propose a water quality and/or habitat improvement project designed for one of 4 focus areas: farmer to farmer mentorship, demonstrating regenerative farming benefits through monitoring, innovative technologies for regenerative farming, and habitat improvement for nutrient and soil management. The entire Gulf of America watershed is eligible for this NOFO, as shown in the map on this slide. For clarification on the eligible area near the watershed boundary, visit the NOFO webpage and zoom in to the area where project activities are proposed. The map shows hydrologic unit code and county or parish boundaries as you zoom in. A list of eligible hydrologic unit codes is also included in Section 9 of the NOFO. EPA expects to fund approximately 20 to 30 projects with awards between $1.5 million to $2.5 million for a total of up to $50 million. What to know about this NOFO? Along with selecting a focus area, all applicants are encouraged to incorporate the development, utilization, or expansion of innovative technologies. See additional details in Section 3A.2 of the NOFO. Applicants are encouraged to increase efficacy of projects through other complementary projects that will support a greater outcome for all projects. All applicants should identify how their proposed demonstration project could lead to cost savings and economic benefits for farmers. What to know about this NOFO, Focus Area 1, Farmer to Farmer Mentorship. Farmers are more likely to adopt regenerative practices when there's a strong network of support available and when information comes from a trusted source. Applications submitted under the Farmer to Farmer Mentorship Focus Area should help farmers adopt regenerative farming practices through knowledge transfer among farmers. Projects should improve water quality and/or habitat through demonstration of regenerative farming practices and/or technology that reduce nutrient loss and/or erosion. Specific details that should be included are described in Section 3A2 under Focus Area 1 and Section 3A3 of the NOFO. What to know about this NOFO, Focus Area 2, demonstrating regenerative farming benefits through monitoring. To improve regenerative farming practices and to maximize nutrient reduction, long-term monitoring efforts are necessary to understand which strategies are suited for different regions. Applications submitted under the Demonstrating Regenerative Farming Benefits Through Monitoring focus area should examine the effects of regenerative farming practices and/or innovative technology on nutrient reduction and/or erosion in watersheds. Projects should improve farmer and water quality knowledge by describing how monitoring will generate new and/or expand existing data sets that will determine which innovative strategies or technologies are best suited to reduce nutrient pollution and erosion in the future. Specific details that should be included are described in Section 3A2 under Focus Area 2 and Section 3A3 of the NOFO. What to know about this NOFO, Focus Area 3, Innovative Technologies for Regenerative Farming. Farmers are more likely to adopt regenerative farming practices and/or innovative technologies with direct observable benefits. Applications submitted under the Innovative Technologies for Regenerative Farming focus area should develop, improve, and/or demonstrate farming practices and/or innovative technologies that improve water quality by reducing nutrient loss and/or erosion. Specific details that should be included are described in Section 3A2 under Focus Area 3 and Section 3A3 of the NOFO. What to know about this NOFO, Focus Area 4, Habitat Improvement for Nutrient and Soil Management. Farmers have strong stewardship ethics, but must balance stewardship with cost effectiveness. Applications submitted under the Habitat Improvement for Nutrient and Soil Management focus area should provide a plan to collaborate with farmers in protecting habitat through habitat creation, restoration, and/or enhancement. Projects should describe how specific habitat or habitats will be created, restored, and/or enhanced, and how they will improve water quality by reducing nutrients and/or erosion. Specific details that should be included are described in Section 3A2 under Focus Area 4 and Section 3A3 of the NOFO. Getting started. So where should you start? First, read the NOFO and ensure your project and your eventual application meet the requirements. The NOFO contains vital information that can improve scoring and quality of your applications. Next, there are several items to confirm your organization prior to starting your application. Confirm that your organization is eligible. The list of eligible entities can be found in Section 2 of the NOFO. Also confirm your organization has a current registration with the System for Award Management at sam.gov, a Unique Entity Identifier, or UEI, and is registered in grants.gov. This is extremely important since obtaining a UEI could take more than 30 days. Not obtaining these in time is not an allowable reason for a late application to be accepted, so please double check this as soon as possible. Last, plan your project. When developing your project idea, keep the following in mind. The project must meet the priorities of the funding opportunity for which you apply. The priorities can be found in Section 3A of the NOFO. Any projects that do not will be rejected. Your project must state how it is relevant to the Powering the Great American Comeback initiative and GAD's statutory authority. See Sections 3B and 3C of the NOFO for more information. As you are planning your project, be sure to consider the potential outputs and outcomes you expect and how those will be identified in your application. For more information, see Section 3A3, Project Narrative. After you've worked to develop the project and project details, you are ready to write your project narrative. To approach this, utilize the project narrative format found in Section 4B of the NOFO. This provides a format for the summary information page and the project work plan. We highly suggest you use this format to ensure you cover everything that will be evaluated using the criteria in Section 6. Be sure to review the NOFO for the full project narrative format and any cautionary information. As a side note, beyond the project narrative, there are other forms and documents required. Please see Section 4A of the NOFO for more information on these required items. Tips to keep in mind when writing the project narrative are: use succinct, meaningful sentences. Please do not include unnecessary or irrelevant information not requested in the contents of submission section, including the project narrative. Readability. Font should be no smaller than Calibri 11 point, and margins should not be smaller than 1 inch. The project narrative should be a maximum of 12 pages. This includes 1 page for summary information and a project work plan of up to 11 pages. Please note, any excess pages will not be reviewed. Maps, tables, and references should be included at the end of the document and will not be counted against the 12-page limit for the project narrative. The project narrative and environmental results section should adequately describe what can be anticipated from the project. The programmatic capability section should describe your organizational knowledge and experience in working with farming communities. The budget narrative should include information not easily understandable in the budget table or that requires additional information for a budget category. Examples include 1. Description of the roles and responsibilities of personnel. 2. Description of what supplies will be used for. 3. Description of why the purchase of equipment is preferable to rental. 4. Contract details such as whether it will be sole source or competed and why that choice was made. 5. Description of activities of subawards. Describe each item in sufficient detail for EPA to determine cost effectiveness, reasonableness, and allowability of costs. Cost effectiveness will consider the organizational overhead or indirect costs and direct costs versus anticipated results. Just a reminder, the budget narrative together with the budget table described on the next slide will be evaluated under the budget evaluation criteria found in Section 6. So if you have a budget table but no narrative to explain items that are difficult to understand, you may be evaluated less favorably. Developing a budget table. On GAD's webpage, there is a link to a recommended budget table template that is pictured on this slide. Utilizing this template, in conjunction with the budget narrative, will ensure the application has all the information needed to evaluate the budget proposed for this project. This budget table provides more detail on the costs identified on the SF424A form. The budget object class category amounts on your SF424A form must match the budget object class category totals on your detailed budget table. For more information on developing your budget table, please see EPA's Budget Development Guidance at www.epa.gov/sites/applicant/budget-development-guidance.pdf. Requested funding should be in alignment with the anticipated results, meaning an applicant should not request the maximum amount just because the maximum amount is available. As stated previously, there are likely several categories in the budget table where more detailed information is needed that may be difficult to include in the table format. Please be sure to include that information in the budget narrative section of the project work plan, or this section may be reviewed less favorably. Evaluation criteria. Now that your project narrative and project budget are complete, look at the evaluation criteria in Section 6. For each evaluation criterion, compare your project narrative and project budget to the corresponding sections. Be sure that there is a response for each identified evaluation criterion. Evaluate what you've included in your project narrative and budget against each criterion and improve sections as needed. Under the past performance section, if your organization has never received a grant or an assistance agreement, please state that to receive half points. If you skip or fail to provide any information for any evaluation criterion, you will get a 0 for that section. The table on this slide shows the point value for each evaluation section. I'm going to say this again. It is very important that you read the criteria identified in Section 6 and provide sufficient detail in the narrative and budget for every item to be evaluated. Submitting your application. Refer to Section 4 of the NOFO for detailed instructions for each required document listed on this slide. The required application documents are the SF424 Application for Federal Assistance, the SF424A for Budget Information, EPA Form 5700-54 for Key Contacts for the project, EPA Form 4700-4, which is the Pre-Award Compliance Review document, the project narrative, which includes the summary information page, work plan, detailed budget narrative, and maps and tables, the budget table, and the scientific data management plan. Selection process. So, what is the selection process? Applications are due as stated in the NOFO on Friday, June 19th, 2026. EPA first conducts a threshold eligibility review, which should be completed by the end of June. During eligibility review, each application is evaluated to make sure it meets the threshold eligibility criteria found in Section 2. You will be notified if your project is deemed ineligible. If deemed ineligible, it will not proceed to merit review. EPA merit review committees will score and rank all eligible applications. This should be completed by the end of July 2026. In September 2026, EPA will notify applicants selected for tentative awards. Unsuccessful applicants will also be notified at that time. Selected applicants will work with their respective project officer to submit a full funding package to GAD's office in October, which includes all revisions and modifications. After internal review, it will be submitted to the Regional Grant Office for additional review and final award. Grant awards are expected around December 2026, and then projects may begin. Helpful resources. On this slide, you will find 2 links to additional helpful resources. The first is to the Gulf of America website, where you can find a link to the Gulf of America Farmer to Farmer 2025 NOFO webpage. On that webpage, you can find links to the NOFO itself, the question and answer document, this presentation, a common errors document for assistance in filling out forms, and other helpful links including assistance in developing a budget. The second link is www.epa.gov/grants, which is to EPA Grants webpage. This webpage provides additional resources for EPA grant applications and recipients, including multiple trainings. Thank you for attending this webinar. GAD hopes it will be helpful as you begin planning your project. If you still have questions after listening to this presentation, reading the NOFO, and reviewing both the Q&A and common errors document, please email us at gad-nofo@epa.gov. Thank you very much and have a great day.